Hi guys, it's Rebecca. Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Today's video is going to be a repressing of my Pan That palette. I've done a couple of these videos before with other Pan That palettes, and if you guys watched my latest update, you guys would have seen that I mentioned that I was feeling kind of uninspired, not very happy with how some of these colors look. I feel like some of these colors don't really go together anymore. And so I wanted to do another repressing based on you guys' recommendations. You guys gave me some really good recommendations. Some of them I had thought about, some I hadn't really thought about. And so I'm gonna try and do something with this palette. This is what the palette is currently looking like right now. As you guys can see, I have 4 shades left. And I'm sorry if you hear the dogs over here, they're playing. But yeah, I have obviously 2 large pans. This one has a little bit of a dip. This one, Hulk Out, has a ton of product. This is a 2-gram shade. So I've only scratched the surface, so I have maybe 1.8 grams left. So I need a lot of help with this one. And yeah, I'm gonna try to make something out of these guys. I'm gonna try to incorporate shades from this Urban Decay Gwen Stefani palette. This is the palette that I was using kind of as a companion palette last year. If you guys remember, how do I do this? There, maybe, hopefully I'm in frame. If you guys remember, like I was saying, this palette is from previous years and I can't hold it. But I used these 4 shades last year, this one the year before, and then I used up this shade this year. And I have 7 shades left. I'm not counting the black one. You guys know how I feel about black eyeshadow. And then this one is another eyeshadow, but this one does have progress. It does have a little bit of a dip in it. So I'm going to be trying to incorporate some of these shades to Franken that other palette. And also I'm gonna try to incorporate this palette from ABH, the Norvina collection. This is a little mini one, the Mini Pro Pigment palette, volume 1, the blue one. This has a lot of pinks. This is what it looks like. As you guys can see, I have hit pan on those 2 shades. And I don't know, let's see what I can make. Maybe I won't use this at all. I don't know. These are kind of like the 2 palettes that I have progress on. So I kind of want to keep having a little bit more progress on them. They're both in my palettes, in my products I want to use up in 2023, but only as to make progress on, not to finish, obviously, because it's a lot of eyeshadow. So this is gonna be a little sped up video, and I'll be doing a little voiceover. But yeah, stay tuned to see at the end what these shadows look like. I'm gonna try to have some swatches so you guys can see the final product. So let's just get started. So I was starting with the obvious choice was to use the blue one. I thought about doing 2 different shades, but I decided to just do the 1 shade. I went ahead and I added some of this purple shade from this ABH palette, trying to make it a little bit more of a true blue color. After mixing it, I added a little bit of alcohol. It still turned out pretty blue, but I feel like it toned down the brightness of the blue. When you guys see the final swatch, you'll know what I'm talking about. But I was happy with that results, especially with that blue shade. And then finally, I moved on to the pink shade. I had to zoom out because I started getting off frame. But anyway, I scraped out a chunk of that green and I wasn't really paying attention. In this palette, I'm going with the yellow one, but I ended up scraping too much of the gold and the green that when I tried putting it in the pan, it barely fit. You guys can see, like, oops, it's overflowing. So it did make a little bit of a mess when I added the alcohol because it was just too much mixture. I made it work, but it was still a lot. I was a lot more cautious with how much product I was scraping out with the other 2 shades that I made. So this is the first one of the 3, the gold, like I said, and the green. After I repressed it, it still looked pretty yellow, but you know, it's pretty green, I'm sorry. But it's wet, so I had to wait for it to dry. That's what it looks like. Clean up the area. And let's move on to the next one. I scraped up more of the green, a little bit more careful, less product than the last time. And I went with this pinky champagne color from that Urban Decay palette, also very little product. And as you guys can see, I did a lot better at fitting that pan with that mixture. So after adding the alcohol and mixing the 2 colors, I was a little bit happier with how this shade looked, just because I feel like it was more it was more of a change as compared to that first one. I feel like that first one looks very similar to that. And at this point, I felt like it was still looking pretty similar. So I added a little bit more of that pinky shade and I created another mess of overflowing. But after I made the concoction and repressed it, it looked pretty good. The pen's pretty full, but you know, I'll probably have some wastage when I use it. And the third color, I got some of that dark brown. A lot of you guys were saying to add a dark brown to make an olive color. And so that's what I did. I went ahead and I added my mixture here onto my pan. And this was another one that I went a little bit too cautious at first because I just added a little bit of brown. It still looked pretty green to me, not quite the olive shade that I wanted. So I went ahead and I was a little bit more generous and I added a lot more brown. And it got a lot darker. As you guys can see, even though they're right next to each other, this shade that I'm mixing looks significantly more dark, a lot more brown than green. And I'm okay with that. I was really happy with the final result with that color. So after I just repressed it really quickly, I took it out and this is what it looks like right now. And then as you guys can see, these are the final results. Starting from left to right, the left is the original green shade. The second one is the green shade with the gold color. As you guys can see, very, very similar. The third one is the green shade with the pinky champagne color. It gave a really nice, pretty champagne yellow color, which I was actually very happy with. The brown shade is actually the brown and the green, so I'm very happy about that. It gives a nice depth, I think. And the last shade is the blue toned shade with the purple, which I think it's a more manageable blue. So I liked it. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.